everyone, and boy am I excited to be here today and share with you my story on intergenerational activities using the Montessori principles and how it has enhanced our lifelong learning and improved the quality of lives of the residents we serve here. So let's go ahead and get started. I want everybody to tell me, do you know what the pincer grip is? I want everybody, join with me now. I want you to take your first finger here, your pointer finger, and your thumb finger and press down. Okay, everybody got that with me? It's almost like you're mirroring the okay sign. Now I want you to look at your neighbor, and I want you, right or left, and I want you to extend a handshake. Keeping that pincer grip like this, shake their hand. Can you do it effectively, everybody? Come on, give it your all. Come on. Was it a challenge? Wasn't this a challenge? What you need to know about this, everyone, it is one of our finest of fine motor skills. The significance of the pincer grip is with our individuals who are cognitively impaired or have some type of dementia. As it progresses, they may not be able to utilize this fine motor skill to the extent that they should. So can you imagine how challenging it must be for them, or even for us for that matter, to self-feed? How about to dress ourselves? How about to do any of our activities of daily living? How about taking yourself to the bathroom and doing effective peri-cares? Can you imagine how difficult that would be? So how we can help enhance and maximize the most of a fine motor skill, such as the pincer grip and other skills, we can do so by using the Montessori approach. So by now, you're probably wondering, what is the Montessori approach? What is Montessori, right? Well, let me tell you, Dr. Maria Montessori, she was an Italian physician back in the 1900s, and she was Italy's first female physician. Not only was she a physician, she was an educator. And she truly believed that education was a means of improving the quality of life, as I'm sure we would all agree. Well, back in the 1900s, she was convinced, because there was that paradigm out there that underprivileged children were deemed unteachable. Can you imagine that? Unteachable? Can anybody really be unteachable? Well, she was convinced if you found alternate ways that these individuals would still be able to learn and experience an environment, one that was filled with quality. So what she did through her observations then was gather and collect them all, and then she formulated the Montessori principles. So now let me tell you how it all got started. About 5 years ago, I was on my way to a dementia meeting, and I had a copy of a book by Dr. Cameron Camp called The Montessori Method. And as I entered this boardroom here, I just set the book, had nothing to do with the meeting. I just carried that book because I myself, I'm a nurse, I'm an educator. I wanted to familiarize myself on other alternative ways for our residents to experience the environment. So the book is here on the table, and in comes walking fellow board member John Adair, and he says, "Oh, I see you've got a copy of my friend's book." And I said, "You know him? You know the author of this book? Really?" And I said, "That's fabulous." And he says, "Yeah, he's a good friend." He says, "What are you doing with his book?" And I said, "I would like to have the opportunity to talk with him sometime. I'd really like to employ the Montessori approach in one of our facilities." And so John says, "Okay, let's call him." And I said, "Okay, let's schedule a call." And he says, "No, let's call him now. We've got about 5-10 minutes before the meeting starts." And it's like, call him now? Okay, not one to turn down that type of opportunity. So Dr. Camp answers the phone, and John goes ahead and he makes this type formal introduction over the phone. And I said, "Hi, Dr. Camp. I'm Anna, also a nurse, looking for ways that we can employ your Montessori method in our assisted living facility." He says, "Okay, when do you want to start?" And I'm thinking, is this for real? How wonderful is this? And so the story goes. What Dr. Camp did was he took those Montessori principles And he applied that and created and developed the Montessori method. And the Montessori method is one that is a multi-generational approach that really promotes that lifelong learning. And it's also about really connecting with that individual we serve, really getting to know them, their likes, dislikes. So when this whole journey started here, I'm thinking, how are we going to start this? Well, so the story goes further. We have in our state of Nebraska a school called the Montessori International School of the Plains. It is the only secondary Montessori school in our state, secondary being junior high and high school. These students have devoted their life to learning the Montessori basics so they themselves could in turn become better educators. So what we did is, in collaboration with the school, I worked with the lead Montessori instructor. Her name is Alice Roberts. We developed a schedule that devoted every Friday that the students would come to our assisted living with memory support, and our adult day services. And these students would come based upon the schedule every Friday. And this was no field trip, everyone. This was a dedicated Friday that was actually incorporated into their school syllabus. So the schedule started as a typical school day would. On Fridays at 0800, the students would arrive, they gather their belongings, their game plan, and then at 9 o'clock, we would start meeting with the residents, put all the residents together in a room and tell them what we were going to do for the day. And then we would start to pull out, whoops, I jumped too far ahead, forgive me. Here's an example of the students when they come to one of the facilities on Friday. You can see how the intergenerational activity then starts. You can see they're interacting with the residents, they have the various activities, and keep in mind with any activity, everyone, you want to make it multi-sensorial. You want to make an activity that has purpose, that has meaning. You want it to be tactile. You want it to be visual, auditory. You want it to be stimulating. We need to bring these activities to life for these individuals here. So how did we do that? We have these activities, and we have right now over 100 activities. I wish I had all day to share these with you because there's so many stories. We have activities that are set on carts. And then what the students will do is they'll take the resident, we'll go up to a cart, and whatever the resident grabs for or reaches for, then we'll bring the activity back to the table, and it's reciprocal learning. The students then will demonstrate the activity, very simple activity. You can go from simple to complex, and then we'll ask the resident to do the activity. If they do not necessarily get the activity the first time, it's okay, because it's all about engagement. This is all about enabling the individual to partake in an activity, because those of you out there, do they always want to participate in activities? No. Is it their right to decline participating in an activity? You better believe it's their right. But it's also our obligation to try to engage them and empower and stimulate them to engage in activity here. So again, with the carts that you see there, some of the stories I want to share with you now. The bells, and I'm going to step away from their circle for a minute here. The bells is an activity. And when we do these bells, everyone, you can utilize your fine motor skill. You have the choice of either shaking it like this, or you can set it down like we do, and we do in sequential order. Well, we're so used to doing things in a sequential order or some type of method, the students say, I can't get her to engage. What can I do? And I said, you know what? Now is the time, break down the rules. Play the bells out of order. Play them out of order and see if that will stimulate this resident in a different way. And you know what? It did. They played the bells out of order, and it still gives me chills to this day. She spoke up for the first time and in a fluent sentence said, with her hands like this, "You missed a note." Imagine that. We could never get her to engage. And we've been doing the bells as a form of stimulation for about 4 to 5 months with her. Couldn't get anything because we were playing it in order. So again, change up the activity. Just when you think it won't work, you never know. One successful activity. Another one I want to share to you is students, they had their books set out. Had nothing to do with the activity. They just had their school books there on Friday. It was a book on physics that had it open. One of our residents just happened to be casually walking by the book, saw the open physics books, and he said, "I used to be a physics professor. I can help you there, young man." Imagine this. This is someone with a diagnosis with a type of dementia who happened to be walking by the physics book and recognized the formulas. So again, break down that stereotype. Just because we think they cannot partake in that activity, you never know until you try. The last one I'm going to share with you is the power of ripping paper. You talk about a multi-sensorial activity here, the power of ripping paper, something so simple. So the whole Montessori approach really is to get your individuals to engage with activities that are in your environment. So what have we learned? 4 years the students have been coming out to the facility, 4 years. And in the last 2 years, we've been collecting data. The students have been collecting data with an evidence-based tool. I'm merely the facilitator to help guide them. The students now anymore, and you'll laugh at this, they tell me, "Dr. Fisher, we're not students, we're young researchers." They are the future of our tomorrow. These are the individuals who are going to be caring for us, and to see them blossom. So what we have learned is adapting the Montessori principles has really helped the residents engage and really feel a sense of connection. What we've learned is the importance of creating an environment that is stimulating, motivating, and one that promotes the senses. You want your individuals to engage in an environment that maximizes their senses. This is what the Montessori approach does. What we've also learned is that the students now themselves have been better educators in telling us what works with our own residents. They're seeing firsthand and then recommending to us what we can do to better enhance the quality of lives for our residents. The last thing here that has really been beneficial is you should see how this has benefited the caregivers, the community, and how about the loved one themselves. We have seen these individuals increase in their activities. It's just been what a wonderful journey it's been. So as I start to close, I want to close on most beautiful quote by Dr. Maria Montessori. "Help those who are in search of activity and cannot find it." And that, my friends, is exactly what we're going to continue to do. Thank you.